Lecture topic: Consciousness of Death.
Luqman alayhi salatu wasalam, whose wisdom the Quran Sharif also has endorsed. So among the advices that he gave to his son on one occasion, he told him, don't ever forget two things. Don't ever forget two aspects. One is, don't ever forget Allah Ta'ala. In all your conditions, remember Allah Ta'ala. And the other thing he told him was, don't ever forget death. Now, our whole purpose in life is to do that which will earn the pleasure of Allah Ta'ala, and to refrain from that which will displease Allah Ta'ala. That is our whole objective, our purpose, our ultimate goal, that we gain the pleasure of Allah Ta'ala. وَرِضْوَانٌ مِّنَ اللَّهِ أَكْبَرُ. This is the greatest thing. Now, in order to get to that point, in order to achieve that goal and that objective, that we don't do anything that displeases Allah Ta'ala, there has to be something that will help us in that. What is going to help us? One is developing the consciousness of Allah Ta'ala. To the extent the person is conscious of Allah Ta'ala, he'll obey Allah Ta'ala. If a person is aware that his ustad is watching him, his parents are watching him, somebody is watching him, he is aware of that. He can see them watching him, or even if he cannot see them, but he knows that from somewhere, some corner, they are watching him. Would he have the courage to do just whatever he wants, anything that comes to his mind, whatever he wants to eat, whatever actions he wants to do, will he just go ahead and do it? When he's aware that his parents are watching, his ustad is watching, somebody is watching, then he just becomes very, very careful, very cautious. So now if he becomes truly conscious of the reality that Allah Ta'ala is watching all the time, Allah Ta'ala is aware of everything, Allah Ta'ala knows what the heart conceals also, the thoughts that are coming to his mind, Allah Ta'ala is aware of it. He might be locking some door somewhere, but Allah Ta'ala can see behind the door also. He might have closed some curtains, but Allah Ta'ala is aware of what's going on behind those curtains also. So to develop that consciousness of Allah Ta'ala, now that is the main thing. But sometimes a person that has not yet developed, then the least is, which is a reality that everybody 100% accepts, that death is going to come. And everybody also accepts that nobody knows the time of death, when it will come. And nor is there any guarantee for the next moment. If a person keeps this in mind all the time, that I could just pass away now, and that's a reality. It has happened so many times that person, no outward reason, outwardly in terms of illness or some accident also, just suddenly the person collapsed and passed away. Or something happens at that moment and the person is gone. So if a person has this in his heart and mind, this reality, now for example somebody is traveling somewhere, many people now while driving somewhere, so now they play music in that vehicle. How many times it has happened that there has been an accident and the person in that car never had a chance to even for anything. He went in that moment, in that accident. He went in that accident. Now if that person was listening to music at that time, was going to be the case. The last things falling into his ears, the last thing affecting his heart was music, haram, something which Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam blocked his ears to. Now on the one hand, this is what Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam displayed with his action. From far away there was some sound coming of somebody playing some musical instrument, so he immediately put his fingers into his ears. So that was the example that Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam set. Unfortunately nowadays the whole thing has been turned upside down, that people forget putting their fingers in the ears. They put earphones in the ears so they can hear it directly. The ears were being plugged previously to keep the sound out. Now the earphones are being put into the ears to bring it directly in. What a terrible thing we are doing, upside down, completely against what Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam did. So in any case now, the person who is driving now and traveling somewhere or whatever, or is falling asleep, and now he's got that in his ears, and that's the last thing that now his life went with. Every person hopes that when the time comes, his tongue is moist with the kalima, the consciousness of Allah Ta'ala in his heart. But now he left leaving with this haram. So now what's going to be the next step then? How is going to be his qabr? What's going to be the case on the day of Qiyamah for him? So now if a person has this in mind and this reality, that death can come at any time, and it has come. So that too will become a great barrier between him and sin. And if he accepts that reality deep down in his heart, that this can happen any moment, then despite the temptations, inshallah will be able to save himself. But now to bring this reality in the mind and heart is not going to just be by just hearing something about it. It requires a daily meditation, muraqabah, thinking about it, sitting for a minute or two, imagining that suddenly my death came. So now imagine now, if yesterday at certain time my death came, what was I doing at that time? So now that would have been the condition in which I would have died. And then what? And now imagine all the scenes of death thereafter, whatever happens after death. A person will consciously do this daily, for a few minutes also, this will start developing the consciousness of death. And that will become a barrier between him and sin. Allah Ta'ala gives.
अल्लाह अल्लाह कैसा प्यारा नाम है, आशिकों का मीना और जाम है।